students. I appreciate it, and I'm excited to answer your questions. So I'm a long-term resident of Kirbyville, actually Roganville. I've lived there since the early 80s. I graduated from Kirbyville, proud of that. I have a wife of working on 21 years. I have 3 glorious kids, 2 of which are here, Madison, my daughter, and Clara, my youngest, and my son Josh, who had to stay home tonight. So my love of law enforcement started when I was 9 years old, and I had more inspirations as I got older. People inspired me to be law enforcement, so that's how long of a love I've had for it. And I've started out with a dream to be doing this. I can't believe I'm standing in my old high school. The last time I was in this room, I was eating lunch, getting ready for my high school exams, and I don't think I was this nervous then. But I'm a Christian. I worked my whole life and whole career here in Jasper County. I worked some in Newton County, but my whole career in law enforcement has been right here, proudly serving and the best serving that I can for the citizens of Jasper County, Texas. So I'm lucky to have my mother here, who I've always tried to represent, my family, my grandparents, my wife, and my kids. That's how I've ran my whole career, is to go home every night knowing that I brought honor to my family name and honor them, and to do the best I can to represent each of you as well. So I thank you for being here tonight. I'm not a perfect person, but I promise I will do the best that I can. Thank y'all all for being here.
Mr. Duncan, why should I vote for you?
Why should you vote for me? I think that question should be answered by, because I've tried to earn it. I've been here. I've seen what our county goes through. I'm a dare officer for our students. I see what y'all go through. That is a passion. This job is not a paycheck. It's a passion for me to make sure that this county is suitable for y'all to take over when it becomes y'all's time to be our leaders and to be our local government, to make your contribution to this county. So the reason why I think you should vote for me is I've just simply tried to earn it. I've tried to do the best I can, and the priorities of this county sheriff's office are not a political agenda to me. They are priorities. And those priorities need to be addressed. We need to move forward and be a sheriff's department that you can be proud of and that is ready for y'all to take over when it's time. Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Dunham.
Hello, my name is Ethan Dunman. I'm from Jasper High School.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Are there any changes that you think should be made to the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, I do. The changes that need to be made to the sheriff's office is recruitment and retention. Those 2 words affect every problem that we have at the sheriff's office. We need to address that immediately. The way we address that is working hand in hand with the commissioners that are working well with us at this point, and by having the community support. Why that is important, recruitment and retention? Because we have to be able to get quality deputies and quality employees to want to come to work here. And we got to have a process or a business plan that keeps them here so they can keep getting experience. So we have a quality pool to be able to promote from. For so long, for 9 years, we've been in a hiring crisis. I've had to try to figure out how to promote somebody to a lieutenant investigator spot with only 1 or a year and a half. That's impossible. That's not a good business plan. Things like that have to be changed. We have to expand our jail to handle the crime and the consumption that we're currently operating at. We have to address morale problems. We have to address workload management. All those things.
Time.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Mr. Adams.
How are you, Mr. Duncan?
How you doing, sir? Thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, sir. My question for you today is, what measures will you put in place to hold officers accountable for their actions?
Well, one measure that we've already put in place is we have with the GTAC. That incorporates a body cam system that also allows me right now to track each and every officer, where they're at, where they're spending their time, where they're patrolling, where they're not patrolling. That is a huge tool that we have to use to keep our deputies accountable. The body camera, it addresses everything that they do. Say every interaction they have with the public. I can go and pull a recording in the car or out of the car. That system that we just went to allows us to time in and see live time what they're doing on traffic stops. So if we have a deputy we can't communicate to, we can actually, I can as an administrator type in and see what he's actually doing and saying and how he actually handles himself in his interaction with the public.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Duncan.
Good question.
Mr. Neal.
Good evening, Mr. Duncan.
How you doing, sir?
I'm Brady now. I'm from Jasper High School. I'm a senior.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. My question for you is, how do you as sheriff plan to respond to calls to your office and enforce federal firearms laws?
Well, I'm a hunter and a fisherman, so I'm a type 2 man. And I'll say right now publicly that I will not, as sheriff, enforce an unconstitutional law. That is one of my primary grounds that I stand upon. That's what I believe. That's what I am. I'm a hunter and a fisherman. As far as calls come to the sheriff's office, we have to, various levels, we have to look at response times. We have to look at activity of the deputies, the call volume. The reason why that's such an important goes back to recruitment and retention. To officially and quality respond, we have to have manpower, proper coverage. Right now, at full force, which we are not, the deputy is responsible for 319 square miles per deputy. 7,458 citizens per deputy, that's on a 2021 census. So in order to address that quality, QAQC, we have to have the manpower, we have to have the training. That's what we got to fix and improve upon.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Duncan.
Good evening, ma'am.
I'm Madison Shear from Jasper High School, and my question for you today will be, how will you work to make deputies better suited to deal with mentally ill people?
Right now, we've just recently went to Spindletop. That's something that we advocated for. Our county judge was a big part in, our commissioners was a big part in. It's a huge step for us. For the last 2 months, the mental health officer has already made 178 contacts due to mental illness. We now have a Spindletop mental health professional that rides with our mental health deputies. So we have a mental health professional that can actually address these issues, that are going out and proactively making sure these mental health people that we're aware of are taking their medication, are seeing their counselors, are going through the steps that they're supposed to go to. We've already seen a dramatic impact at the jail. So that affects our repeat offenders. Because mental illness, it's a disease. Not everybody that has mental illness it goes out and commits crime, but a lot do. And we was seeing 1 a month, now we're seeing 2 to 3 to 4 a day. So that's how we plan to address that. So our mental health professionals, I'm looking forward to getting another mental health deputy if possible in my 8-year business plan.
Thank you, Jasper. Buna and Evadale both, could I get you to come forward?
Let's hear from Jasper.
Good evening, I'm Toby Morris, I'm from Buna High School.
Nice to meet you.
My question for you today is, drinking and substance abuse seem to be a huge issue, not only in our community itself, but in the public school system as well. How could you help educate students to become more aware of the dangers and consequences of drug and alcohol abuse?
You're right, sir. It touches 99% of our crimes in our county as globally. It affects our youth. And what I took steps to do is I went to Florida for 2 weeks to become a certified DARE officer. The DARE program is a huge tool, in my opinion, because it reaches our kids at the 6th grade level. So we can fight to get to them and educate them before the drug dealers do. And that's just as simple as I can answer that. Narcotics is a global problem. It's a huge Jasper County problem. So the way we affect that is by education, by manpower, by keeping the heat on, and by being involved in our students. We've also got Crime Stoppers now in Jasper County, which offers a school program that students can utilize to give tips on stuff inside of school and remain completely anonymous so that it doesn't affect their social standing in the class. Because you don't want it to get around your class that you told on somebody. This is a process that we plan to institute that will keep you completely anonymous and has already worked in other schools. So I'm very excited about that program.
Good evening, sir. My name is Marguerite Boudreaux. I'm a senior at Buna High School.
Nice to meet you, ma'am.
My question is, how do you plan to ensure the safety of students, teachers, staff in times of crisis?
Where do I stand upon that, basically, is the question. So, security at the schools is one of my passions. Before SRO, school resource officers, was ever introduced to our system, I advocated school board to school board to school board, advocating a safety program. I brought the SWAT team up, Jasper's first SWAT team, for this reason, to address these issues. I have a son that goes to this school that cannot run. He cannot scream. He cannot hide. He's completely dependent upon our faculty and our security. So I feel like we have a whole classroom of special needs kids. So if we can advocate to get that program to make them safe, then that covers all of our bases throughout. We've got to deal, like I said, the DARE program with bullying. Now we have bullying not at school, but cyberbullying that goes on for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've seen so many problems with that. So we have to address those issues in our security program, but we gotta remember to get down on the level and listen to y'all. Listen to what y'all tell us and take your advice. But we gotta take that seriously because it is affecting our society. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question.
Thank you, Buna. Evadale? Mr. Kirbyville?
Hi, Mr. Duncan.
How you doing, Mr. Kerbo?
My name is Ethan Crebo, and I'm from Evadale.
Nice to
My
meet
question
you.
for you is, in your own words, what is a sheriff?
In my own words, what is a sheriff? A sheriff, in my opinion, has got to be a community leader, not a boss. He's got to be a community activist. There was a statement said to me in a deal that I'm not running for a community activist, I'm running for sheriff. Well, in my opinion, why would you want a sheriff that is not a community activist, that doesn't reach out and keep his finger on the pulse of what's going on in his community, his eyes on the horizon to see what's coming at us? A sheriff has got to be ready for anything and everything, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And he has to answer for everything criminal, legal, and he also has to make sure that the sheriff's office keeps the common sense and keeps the humanity, because there's got to be a heart behind that badge. Not everybody needs to go to jail. You got to handle each situation to situation. So the sheriff's got to be a community leader and a community activist, both at the school level and the grown-up level. Thank you, sir, for that question.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir. My name is Lily Moronis, and I am a senior at Evadale.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
How do you actively engage with the community to ensure that law enforcement practices align with community needs and expectations?
To meet the community expectations of law enforcement, to me, that is community policing, and I'm a big advocate for that. I'm always asking the community to help us, because we've got to be a team. The community needs to know what's going on day to day at the sheriff's office. We have got to be accessible to the public, and that's something that needs to get better at the sheriff's office, and proactivity. We've got to be involved in our community. We've got to be involved in our problems in the community. We've got to listen. We've got to have support from our community. We've got to be a team. The sheriff's office and the community cannot be separated. We've got to be one individual. I tell my deputies, young deputies, like I was taught, when you see somebody out wrecking their yard, stop and introduce yourself. Have a conversation. The community has got to be able to trust us. That's important, because if they don't trust you, they're not going to give you information. They're not going to be sociable with you. We've got to be transparent and community accessible and community minded. Like I said, we've all got to be community activists. I will take a guy that does this for a passion. I will take one deputy that does it from his heart, but there are 4 deputies that don't. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evadale. Thank you, Scotty.
Very good questions, by the way. Thank each and every one of you for giving me those questions and taking part. I'm proud of you. Thank you.
The next series of questions will be the ones that were submitted to the East Texas banner online. And again, there was a lot of them, and some of them have already addressed some of the questions from the school district, so I'll try to cut down to the ones that weren't specifically. But some of these are definitely kind of left and right field questions. From Andrew Brunette, asked, can the candidate explains how a Garth House interview is conducted?
Yes, sir. So when we take a sexual assault, whether it be a child or a minor, we have to take the initial report. Therefore, our investigators have to schedule a SANE exam and a Garth House exam. A Garth House is done by interviewers of forensic professionals that can get down and interview a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old. So therefore, deputies can't mess those interviews up. These are trained professionals that know how to question a female, that know how to question a child to get the desired information from them that they want to get. Our investigators are sitting in another room watching this interview on a video so he can take notes. So the child is in a safe, secure atmosphere. And that's how a Garth House interview. We take that Garth House, put it with our case, and proceed with the investigation. That is a very important tool that we have to use, and it's got to be done so we don't cause secondary injury to that child or minor what they've already experienced. We have to be very careful how we do those interviews, and they are a priceless tool.
Thank you. From Francis Robinson, I would like to know your stance on cannabis. Are you going to welcome its use and it being open, or be open to being informed on its positive uses? Many cities in Texas have benefited from decriminalization.
Many conservative citizens support cannabis, and I'd like to know where you stand.
Well, I'm an old school narcotics officer of 15 years. And my view on that point, cannabis, it's illegal. Right now, it is illegal. It's got very proven medicinal purposes. And if that person has a medicinal license from a doctor and does it legally the way he's supposed to do it, then I have no problem with it. If it's done in the manner that it's designed to be used in medicinal purposes. Out there on the street, if you're selling to kids, in my opinion, you're going to jail, period. Because our kids are like sponges. They absorb, and they have to be shown the right way to do things, just like drinking and driving. That creates problems, and using cannabis is the same problematic type person. But used in the right atmosphere, regulated, and used in the manners designed to use it for your purpose, medicinal purposes, then that's fine, as long as it's used in a legal manner.
Thank you.
Chris, can you
Yeah.
make it just?
If I don't tear it up, you know how I tear stuff up. Okay.
All right. Next question is from Ed Holmes. He asks a question for you. If you're elected, what are you going to do to help keep operating expenses down?
So one of the ways that we be good stewards for the taxpayers' dollars that I'm very proud of is we have a program that's called prisoner reimbursement. So we house out-of-county inmates, overflow, and jails that struggle with putting somebody up like Newton or Tyler, and they pay us so much a day. On the average, what we're housing usually houses $20 to $25 per day. What we usually make off that is anywhere to $25,000 to $30,000 a month, which we use for training, equipment, gear, anything at the sheriff's office. The $800,000 communication building that we recently just built that houses our dispatch cost over $800,000. That did not cost the taxpayers $1. So I'm very proud of that program. That's just one of the ways that I plan on being good stewards with the taxpayers' dollars and utilizing anything I can to reduce cost.
Okay, thank you. Lizardo Cisneros asked a question that you've already somewhat touched on about the high turnover rate within the sheriff's office. You mentioned recruitment and workshops and workload management. If there's anything you'd like to expand on that the community could be aware of or be involved with?
That's one of our biggest problems for the last 9 years is our turnover rate. For a long time, our senior deputy was a one-year deputy. I can't promote from that. You can't take a one-year deputy and promote him to a lieutenant investigator spot. That's going to be a quality control issue. You can't expect somebody to do what we do on a day-to-day basis with only 1 year experience. Because a lieutenant investigator has to be able to experience cases, experience emotions, know what to look for, know how to process, because that is important to tee up that case so the prosecutor can properly prosecute it. And that is, unfortunately, a crisis that we've been in for several years. I can't manage my workload because the old deputies that's been here forever are carrying the load while we train rookies. And also, that's your taxpayers' dollars going to other departments. They hire them on here, we train them, and they leave. We hire them on, and train them, and they leave. That affects the hiring pool. We don't have a hiring pool right now. We have nobody of quality. We don't even have 2 applicants that currently, and I have 2 deputies short now with no applicants at the sheriff's office. Huge problem.
Okay, thank you. Next question from Jewel Marsh. As sheriff, what steps will you take to ensure that the good old boy syndrome, so common in small town politics, doesn't poison your tenure?
Great question. You have to do this with integrity and passion. You have to make sure that when you come to work every day, I was told to humble yourself and remember where you come from. You have to handle every case, no matter what your bank account is, no matter what your name is. As long as you keep the common sense and the heart in every case investigation you work, that's what you got to do as sheriff. Manage your people to make sure that they are doing quality work, and work with your elected officials to ensure that. The district attorney, Miss Ann Pickles, constantly QAs and QCs, and I welcome that. It's made us improve. It's helped us. So that is one issue, one way I ensure to not let that good old boy system work, because it has got to be a priority. Because we're facing things in our nation now, not like it used to be 20 years ago. We got to be serious, and things got to be a priority. And whoever you are has got to be held to that lieutenant day in and day out, because you set a precedent if you don't do that. You can't put one in jail and then not another one. But you got to be willing to help one just like you do the next, case-to-case basis.
Thank you. Drugs in the county came up on multiple questions.
Yes, sir.
And you've touched on it already, but Harvest McClendon and Leah McClellan were also in on this and basically saying how best to enforce that so that all offenders are held accountable.
So, holding them accountable. What the sheriff's office does is we go out and track these folks down, drug dealers, drug addicts. But we have to remember there's a difference between a drug dealer and a drug addict. So you have to use whatever force multiplier that you can use. I've worked narcotics in this county for over 15 years. I've worked with the DEA Task Force, United States Marshal Task Force, ICE, TABC, and even Secret Service. We have to utilize, and we are currently utilizing, those bigger facilities that have a bit more resources, bigger budgets. That is a force multiplier. Also, most important, you have to have a reputation as a deputy to be willing to go out and work hard. If you get a reputation of drinking coffee every day, then those guys study us. They're going to come out and move and do their drug dealing and drug uses on your shift. So we got to ensure that everybody stays proactive and keep the heat on from day to day. That's how you fight narcotics. Day to day, night to night, every single day. And you have to understand it's a passion, because narcotics touches every family in America. And we have to be diligent in doing that. The whole system's got to be diligent in doing that, both proactive.
Thank you. Alicia Forrest Robin asked, what's your plans on the future of the illegal immigrants we have in our area? Are you going to follow up with Abbott's plans for them being arrested and deported?
We have already tried that. We're trying that currently every day. And I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, I was one of the ones that watched 20 vans go through this city. And I stopped one night, had 18 illegals in it and a coyote. We was told by them, well, you got to let them go. We're doing everything that we can. First thing we got to do is close the border, because that is affecting us on every level. With narcotics, when I first started, well, a gram of meth would cost us $180. Now you can buy 3.5 grams for $40. So that should tell you the amount of drugs coming across our border is hurting the whole country and hurting us. Our bigger cities, Beaumont, Houston, Dallas, all them folks are escaping to us, bringing their problems with us. So illegal aliens is it affects us on so many levels as a county. And we've got to be diligent in getting those folks where they need to be and not here.
And on somewhat of a related question, Stormy Downing asked, going forward, how would you respond to warrants for individuals? Bring the entry team and auxiliary personnel together, other agencies, etc., efficiently to make apprehensions more likely.
So I served on the United States Marshals Task Force, the DPS Texas Fugitive Task Force, for several years. That's a specialized team that serves warrants. So each warrant has to be evaluated, because we have rules of engagement. We have laws as law enforcement we have to go by. If I'm going to serve a Class C theft warrant on somebody, that's got to be addressed. Everything's dangerous. But if I'm going to serve a murder warrant on a suspect like we have done in this county, yes, we use specialized teams. And I'm proud to say your Jasper County Sheriff's Office has that specialized team and is asked by several agencies to utilize that specialized like Newton, Tyler, DPS has requested our SWAT team on several occasions to do warrant service and raids for them. So you got to address that on a warrant-to-warrant issue. We always use proper safety tactics, but we have rules and engagements. Like the Buna standoff, I'm happy to say we was in that standoff for several hours and we brought it to a peaceful end. Everything that's been ever served in Jasper County, I've been the SWAT commander for. Proud to say that, and we have a great team.
And then lastly, as far as the common questions go, everybody wants to know what would you do? What would be the first couple of things you'd change in office? But I'll add to that because it was part of another question. If you had an opportunity for your budget to be increased, what would be the first two things you would do to improve the department?
I would address the manpower issue, the mental health issue, the jailer issue. We've got to have quality people to cover this county. This county is 122.6 miles long. Crime is coming in every day. We've got to have the quality deputies, the quality jailers, the quality dispatchers, and the quality mental health. We have one mental health right now that addresses all of our county mental health issues. And mental health is a big deal. It's like our IDD program. That affects families. You have families coming here every day asking questions, what do we do? We've got to address that. We've got to be diligent and proactive in that, but we've got to have the manpower. We've got to have the quality manpower to do that with quality. If you don't have the manpower and your team is stretched thin, you're not going to be able to push them as hard as you would a properly manned sheriff's office. And that's what I want to ensure, that we have adequate manpower, adequate training to address these issues, because we're dealing with them every single day.
What, in your opinion, was the main failure of the Uvalde, the Robb Elementary school incident, and what can be learned from that in our county?
In my opinion, that incident failed because too many agencies was involved, but not the proper training. The administration didn't send those guys in. They stopped them. If you're not willing to donate blood in this line of work, you're in the wrong line of work. I'm telling you right now, the Jasper County Sheriff's Office, and God forbid this never happens, but if we have an active shooter at this school or at any other school, your deputies are going in, whether it's 1 or 20. We're going in. We're not going to sit and wait. That's not what we're training to do. Our SWAT team and SORT team for Jasper County actively trains in these schools, so we are familiar with the hallways. We are familiar with the buildings. We just sent 3 deputies to get alert active shooter trained so we can do more training in this county. So we have got to be diligent in that, and we've got to be willing to go in and stop the threat. And that's something that's ever serious. And we're averaging 2 school shootings a week in the United States of America right now. That's a big, huge issue, but not only for schools or businesses.
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. You now have 3 minutes to give a closing statement for us.
Folks, this is not a job to me. This is a passion. I've almost given my life for you more times than I can count. I got the scars to prove it and the leg to prove it. We've got to have somebody willing to stand up. Like I said, this love for law enforcement took me at a young age when the sheriff used to come and give me ice cream and take me to get hamburgers. And that's where I become intrigued by it. You've got to have a servant's heart. You can never let a title go to your head, ever. And that's something that I'm most proud of, is I'm the same Scotty Duncan today as I was over 20 years ago. The gun and badge has not changed me. But I have learned every day. This was a dream of mine. So from day one, I've worked for 6 different sheriffs, and I've worked around a bunch more. And I've watched what they've done. Some of which are standing in this room today, that I have watched how they handled situations. Watch what they did that worked. Watch what they did that didn't work. And I've learned from that. And I've learned that the most thing is loyalty. Loyalty to your community. Loyalty to your citizens. And you've got to make sure that every case comes in that sheriff's office. I was taught a long time ago to work that case like your grandmother would want it worked. To take it personal. We've got to take it personal. Long time ago, there were 7 trucks stolen out of a community. And I had a bunch of deputies at the time that no longer work here, was on a group text messages, laughing and joking about those trucks being stolen. And I got on there, they messed up and included me. And I mean to tell me, you mean to think this is funny? That these guys thought it comfortable to come from Houston, to come to your turf and take your vehicles? Because that ain't their vehicles, that's yours. They thought it comfortable enough and relaxed enough to come up and do some of that in one night. So we've got to hold our sheriff's office accountable. I don't have agendas. I've got priorities. Because my biggest concern in all of this is letting y'all down. Letting my folks down. Letting my wife down. Not showing my daughter what I've trained her all of her life. Not leading by example. That's what we got to do. And we're going to have community support. Because the sheriff can be whatever he wants to be. But if he don't have your support and your backing, he is nothing. Without his people, he is nothing. And without him, the people are nothing. Local law enforcement is just what he said. Your local last and first line of defense against tyranny, both foreign and domestic. When I took that oath from my county judge, I took it seriously. And I take it seriously every single day. And when I say that when I leave my family, they don't serve, they serve just as much as I do. I made a huge investment here. They've made a huge investment here. And I want to make this sheriff's office something we all can be proud of. But I promise you, what I'm saying here today when I get sheriff, I'm not going to forget after I get it. I'm going to be a working sheriff. I'm going to be able to go out and work traffic, work narcotics, work investigations, work cases myself. Because I've been there. I've done it. Thank you. Is that okay?
Sure, go ahead. Brief.
I've asked that I say something to address the students. How many of you know what an investment is? What is your most precious resource that you have to invest? Yes, sir. You. Yes, sir. You're the first person that answered that correctly. So I want to say to you how proud I am. And this is not from a campaign standpoint. This is true. I tell you how proud I am. You invested your time tonight into me, and I appreciate that. And a foundation is something that you build upon. So keep that in mind. If your foundation is cracked or if it's built poorly, whatever you build upon it will be built poorly. So your school year that you're currently doing is building that foundation. So make sure you build a good foundation and make sure everything you invest your time to is worth it. And this was worth it. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being here. All good questions. I was excited to answer them. Thank you.
2 minutes for the intro, just the Bible part, and you'll have time for closing statement as well.
Can everybody hear me?
Just who you are and where you're serving.
I'm Scott Jacks. I'm a 16-year law enforcement veteran, lifelong Jasper County resident. I've lived here my whole life, never left. A little bit about me. I'm married to my wife, Angela Jacks, of 25 years. We have a 20-year-old daughter that graduated here in 21. I have one that'll be 17 tomorrow that also graduated from this high school. Me and my wife graduated here in 1996. My law enforcement background, I went to the Angelina College Police Academy in 2008. I was hired by Paul Brister back there. Right out of the academy, a few months later, Paul left for underlying reasons, and I wasn't happy with my new leader that I had there. So Mitchell Newman hired me when he got elected sheriff in 2009, and I took office with him. A few months later, I was given a K-9 because I was out working drugs. Always answered 911 calls, but drugs are my passion. After I become K-9, I continued to work drugs. I was promoted to patrol supervisor, and ultimately promoted to narcotics investigator, where I was partnered with our sheriff candidate here. During that time, we were both special deputies with the U.S. Marshals. The East Texas Joint Fugitive Task Force, where we worked 7 counties apprehending dangerous felons. I left Jasper County in 2014 to further my career in law enforcement. While still living here, I went to work for the Arce County Sheriff's Office. I ended up being promoted to lieutenant over narcotics, which I supervised 5 narcotics detectives. From the interstate to street level narcotics. I had a part in seizing millions of dollars. That's it? I got 10 seconds left? Oh. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson, please confirm your precinct, please.
Precinct 3.
And what area that entails?
It entails all the way from Long Oak Road in Buena, County Road 639, to Magnolia Springs this way, all the way to Holly Springs, easterly.
Great, thanks, sir.
Thank you all.
Good evening. My name is Chad Ainsworth. I'm a candidate for Constable for Jasper County Precinct 6, Evadale area. Appreciate y'all being here tonight. Appreciate being invited. I'm here tonight with my wife and 3 of our kids. One wandered out with the grandbaby. I really appreciate the school kids being here, our Evadale kids. I'm really glad y'all are here tonight. A little bit about myself. I've been a police officer now for 31 years. Started off at the Liberty County Sheriff's Office in 1993, put myself through the academy while I worked in the jail. Since that time, I've worked in just about every aspect of law enforcement you can think of, from corrections all the way to supervision. I have a passion for working narcotics. Most of my career has been working narcotics or K-9. I'm currently employed with Liberty County the Lumberton Police Department as a K-9 sergeant there. Been with Lumberton now 10 years. We live in Evadale, just off of 105 on 1131. I've lived in Evadale for 10 years now. My goal is to bring some proactive professional law enforcement to our constable's office. Because of location and because of lack of resources, we're kind of left on an island down in Evadale, just for lack of a better term. My goal, hopefully, if elected, is to actually patrol, be out, be proactive, work with our school, make sure that our kids, our students are safe there, and always be available. To do that, you need to be proactive, you need to draw upon your experience, and you need to have integrity, plain and simple. You hold yourself to that higher standard and be an example for your community. That way your kids, your parents, your teachers, all of those have no problem reaching out to you for help. That way, they're not questioning your integrity, they know that you are gonna be a stand-up person and that they can count on you. That's my goal, and I appreciate your vote for Constable in Evadale. Thank y'all.
Good evening, Joe Sterling. I am the President Constable Precinct 6, Jasper County. I started my career in 1992 with Jasper County. I attended the Kilgore Police Academy. I worked for, first sheriff I worked for was Roscoe Davis. I was a patrol deputy. Then I come up through Billy Rose. Billy, I worked as patrol deputy as well as a criminal investigator on burglaries, robberies, thefts, and such as that. And then while Billy was still in office, he moved me into narcotics, where I stayed until '04 when I left law enforcement for about 2 years. And then when Mitchell Newman come back in office, I went to work for Mitchell as a narcotics investigator, where I stayed until 2013 when the constable of Evadale at that time passed away, and I took over his position at constable, and I've been constable of Precinct 6 since 2013 until present, and I am seeking re-election as constable for Precinct 6 in Jasper County. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Arce, and I'm running for constable for Precinct 3. It's the biggest precinct in the county. A little bit about me. I have 3 kids. I've been widowed since 2017. I have a I'm TCO certified peace officer for 12 years and currently hold a advanced peace officer's license. I am employed by the Kirbyville Police Department, where I've been for the past 8 years. 5 of those years I've served as your school resource officer, and the protection of and education of children is one of my greatest passions. I've honed my specialty in crimes against children, from child abuse to trafficking. I've also served as your mental health deputy for the county. Prior to coming to Jasper County, I worked for Nacogdoches County Constable's Office Precinct 4, where I served civil papers as well as patrolled. That's all I got. Thank you.
Number 4, please. Your question is, sir, what are the duties of a constable?
The duties of a constable are: you serve the civil papers for your precinct, and you bailiff the court of your precinct are the 2 primary duties of a constable. In Jasper County as a constable, we have chosen to take upon ourselves to serve all the papers for the entire county. So what we get is the papers that come into the sheriff's office, from the district clerk's office, from the district court, wherever they come from. The county will compile those papers, they send them to each precinct, and that gets the papers served for the entire county. But the only 2 duties that a constable has to do is serve the precinct papers for his precinct and bailiff the court.
Thank you. Number 3, please. Mr. Jacks, what are your feelings towards the now legal Delta 8?
I do not agree with it. It falls along the same lines that Chief Duncan talked about. I agree with using that for the right reasons and medical reasons. I do not agree with it for anything else. It falls along the same lines as cannabis. I'm a narcotics investigator for Jasper Police. I run narcotic search warrants on drug dealers daily. And 90% of the cannabis use and the Delta 8 and all the other drugs, violent crime comes behind them. Marijuana is not the worst thing in the world, but for whatever reason, more people get killed because they want to rob a marijuana dealer to get their cash that they have in their house. And I have worked those murders along with everybody up here, and I do not agree with it.
Thank you.
Number 2. What is your favorite part about being a law enforcement officer?
Man, it's hard to say what's the favorite part. I guess what I love to do the most, like I said, I'm a canine sergeant with the Lumberton Police Department. To me, there is nothing better than watching a well-trained dog do what he's supposed to do. I don't care if it's my patrol dog, Leroy, or if it's a coon hunting dog. if they know what they're doing and they're working like they should, I love to watch them work. My passion, like I said, is working that dog. Everything from narcotics, doing free air sniffs of vehicles, to searching homes, to actually doing apprehension. My dog does it all, and we have worked really hard and developed a reputation where we're getting called and doing searches and helping agencies all across Southeast Texas. We were just here in Kirbyville about 3 weeks ago assisting on a manhunt where we found a guy in the woods after crossing creeks, briars, everything else, cut up from can to cane, soaking wet, and there was never anything more fun than catching that bad guy.
Time.
Thank you. Your question, please. Are there any positive means utilizing social media to help make a safer community?
Yes, definitely. I use social media all the time, from getting with suspects that we can't contact, to putting out there what we're looking for and videos of what our complainants give us. So definitely there's a lot of different ways to use social media.
Okay, thank you.
Number 4. Can a constable do anything to influence immigration or enforce immigration laws?
We can do the same thing as any other peace officers, just like Chief Duncan said earlier when he caught that load of 19 in here. You catch them, you call ICE, which is the ones that primarily handle the immigration issues, and they'll either take them, and if they don't, and I don't know of anything outside of that we could personally do if we can't get the federal government involved to assist us. I don't know anything that we could do on a personal level to put them out of here.
Number 3. This was a question asked earlier from a constable perspective. What measures can a constable do to help with the mental health situations in the field?
Well, a day in the life of a police officer, you're dealing with mental health on every aspect. My constable can assist the sheriff's office or the local PDs in helping anyone with mental health. Anybody that's had any time in law enforcement, it has extensive training on mental health. Unless you're just a rookie right out of the academy, we all have extensive training on how to handle, how to assist, and how to take care of mental health. I guess that would be my answer. We're all mental health professionals in a sense, due to the training that we go through.
Number 2. Aside from the Crime Stoppers program, what other means can citizens contribute to a safer county/precinct?
The advantage that we've got in Precinct 6 is availability, and we're there. It's a small precinct as far as numbers wise. It's kind of a big area. Be available. Get out and work. Be proactive. If you're out being seen and you build up a trust with your community, knowing that you're willing to work and you do it right and you are holding yourself accountable and holding yourself to a higher standard, your community trusts you and they will reach out to you in any way, shape, or form. You brought up social media. Social media can be an evil thing and it can be a good thing. If it's used right, people will reach out to you and give you information, but you've got to prove to them that you're willing to work, that they can build trust in you, and that they know you're going to do what's right. Regardless of who you're dealing with, you've always got to do what's right. Make the right decision, use your experience, and take care of your business.
Thanks, sir. And our final question for the constables, and again, these were actual questions that came in from citizens. But you get the special one. Would you give your family member a traffic ticket?
Most definitely. I actually have a little story. So my dad, he sells fish at the fish market in Jasper, and he told this guy, he said, if you don't give me a discount or pay me more on getting the fish, he said, I'm going to tell my daughter to pull you over. And so when he was coming through town, I didn't know that I was going to pull him over. My dad never said anything to me, but I ended up pulling him over. And he told me, your dad just told me you were fixing to give me a ticket. And so I had to give him a ticket, and then I had to call my dad and be like, why are you telling people that I'm gonna give them a ticket? So, of course, I mean, if you're breaking the law, I'm gonna give you a citation. A lot of y'all already know in town that I'm the traffic officer and the city ordinance enforcer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Madison Shear from Jasper High School. I'm a junior. My question today for y'all will be, what are your two primary concerns for the constable?
Can we answer?
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna do my constable's job, but I am a narcotics officer. And it's been customary that the constables do their jobs and go home. I'm not gonna do it. I was told that you can't do that as a constable because you don't have a secretary. And I'm gonna be my own secretary. There's nobody that's killed more pine trees in Southeast Texas than me. My second concern is this school right here. I love this school. I love Buna High School. I love Jasper High School. I'm an active shooter instructor, and I dwell in the protection of kids. And I will stop a threat. I will give my life for any of y'all, any school, any teacher, any parent, anybody. That's what I signed up for. Also, to educate our kids in these schools. I'm gonna be in these schools every day if y'all elect me here to educate the kids on the dangers of drugs and the consequences thereof. Thank you.
I'd like to
Please.
expound on that question too. The two things that worry me the most about constable, you do have to do your constitutional duty first. Serve civil process, vehicle, bail. However, in our community, it is a small community and there's not a lot of that. You are a police officer. You're the same peace officer as the constable, as the sheriff of Jasper County is, as a Texas state trooper is, or a Texas Ranger is, or I am in Lumberton. You've got to be proactive. Our folks feel like they're not getting represented the way they should. Get out and be proactive. The second thing that I want to do, expound on what he said, get in our schools. Be there to build a good working relationship with our school. I too am an alert active shooter instructor. I believe in taking care of our kids. My wife is a 31-year teacher in Vidor. I have a close working relationship. I was raised by a teacher and a coach. I thought I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. I'm gonna make sure that y'all kids, you Evadale kids, if elected, I'm gonna take care of y'all.
Anyone else want to expand on that?
Yes, as each of you know, the school is my passion. I'm always in your school zones. I'm always following the school bus through town. I believe that as a constable, I can still fulfill my duties as constable, as serving civil papers, but I'm also still gonna be in your school zones, and I feel that's important. Thank you.
My concerns as constable are the same as theirs, as well as getting our duties to perform within our offices, the citizens of our county, and taking care of the children within our county.
My name is Ethan Kirby, and I'm from Evadale. I'm a senior, and y'all really have answered my question, but if you want to expand, you can. Will you go above and beyond your job requirements to make our area better?
Like any police officer, I have put my time in. I've always went above and beyond. I talked to you about being in this school every day and teaching our kids. I think if we get to them before the dope dealers, or if we get to them early enough that they think, man, that's going on in my house, I need to tell somebody about it. I need to tell an officer about it. That's where I'm gonna go above and beyond. And I want to be proactive in my community. You will see me in your neighborhoods on patrol. Tell me the last time when you seen a marked constable vehicle come through your neighborhood on patrol. I'm going to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. My cards are in the back, my personal cell phone number's on it. After tonight, if anybody has any questions or needs any help, call that number. I'll answer it day or night. Thank you.
Again, being proactive is totally different than being reactive. If you're willing to get out and put out the effort, people are going to recognize that. I don't need a pat on the back. I need the trust of my community. I want them to know that if they have a problem, hey, I'm going to call Chad. To me, that is the biggest responsibility that I could ever come up with. That if you trust me to call me, that's a heck of a responsibility, and it's very humbling. If I have your trust, that's what I want. You build that trust by holding yourself to that higher standard and being an example in your community. Make sure that they know, hey, that dude's a stand-up guy. I know I can call him, he's gonna take care of business. But you can't do that being reactive and just serving your civil process. That's not acceptable. Make a job for yourself. I was taught that years ago. Make a job for yourself. Get out there and put in the work. It'll be recognized and people will see that and you'll be respected for it.
Yes, sir, I am very willing to go above and beyond, have gone above and beyond in our county. We assist the sheriff's office, we go out, we handle these calls when we get called. We're willing to do, if somebody calls me, we're willing to help anyone there. If something happens within our presence, we're gonna handle it there. The problem lies in, the reason I don't have a marked vehicle right now, we have our own personal insurance and our own personal vehicle. Okay. You get out and you get into an accident while you're using your marked unit as a patrol in a police manner. You hold yourself in high liability as well as Jasper County in liability due to your personal insurance may not cover for this incident. So you go out and you be proactive, but you've got to do it in such a manner that you're holding the liability down for everybody involved.
So most of you know me. I patrol your streets. I answer your calls. But a lot of y'all don't know that sometimes I come off duty and I talk with suspects. I just did that this week as of yesterday. I answer your calls on Facebook when I'm off duty. I'm always there for you and I always go above and beyond. And I'll continue to do that as constable. I'll continue to be here, answer your calls, patrol your streets, and give my all. Thank you.
And each of you, if you would like to have some closing statements to make, you have up to 3 minutes to provide additional input.
I'm gonna do it in order.
You can do whatever. We'll start with Mr. Jackson.
I'm gonna continue where I left off of my own statement, if y'all don't mind. I worked in Orange County as the lieutenant over the narcotics, supervising 5 detectives. I was there almost 9 years. When I decided to run for constable, I wanted to come back home. I was offered a job by the Jasper Police Department as a narcotics detective, and that's the position I currently hold. And during my time with Jasper, we've been working local, state, and federal drug investigations. I have a great working relationship with DPS Narcotics. I work with them on a weekly basis. And the FBI I work with quite a bit. Of course, the ATF and DEA. I've got a great working relationship with them. And even after if I get elected constable, they'll be more than happy to assist us here. What we get out of that is funds and money to further investigations through their department because they need stats as well. So, I believe narcotics to be the root of all crimes. Rape, robbery, murder, assault, every theft and burglary is narcotics related. And it affects everybody, it affects every family here. It's my passion, and I'm gonna do that after I do my initial job of serving civil papers, which I don't think I'll have a problem with. But the protection of schools and teaching. When I mean protection of schools, I think if we educate our kids on the dangers and consequences of drugs, that helps with peer pressure. It helps building that relationship like, man, that guy right there, he helped me see something that I didn't see. So maybe he'll reach out to me and I can help fix other kids in the community. We live in a different world today. The active shooter bull crap that we see on TV, it aggravates me. I graduated from high school here in '96. We didn't have that. We had an occasional fist fight, but I didn't care if you were it didn't matter back then if you were the poorest kid or the richest kid. We all were friends. We all took care of one another. We all helped each other when each other's parents were down, whatever, throughout the history. And what's going on across the world nowadays disgusts me. But I wanna let everybody know that I will give my last breath to protect one kid. The Uvalde question come up, we're not trained like that here. We're not, I think it's a question of heart, to be 100% honest with you. It may hurt somebody's feelings, but if you didn't sign up in this business to give your all, you're in it for the absolute wrong reason. I'm not gonna stand by for 5 minutes and let a kid get shot, a teacher get shot. I'm gonna fix that problem, and I'm very good with it. So, please elect me as your next constable. Thank you.
Again, thank all of y'all for being here. Thank you for inviting us to come talk to you, and especially thank you to all our kids that came out today. We appreciate y'all getting involved in the process. This election, not only locally but state and federally, is going to affect y'all for the beginning of your adult lives, and we appreciate y'all getting involved. Like I said, I've been doing this 31 years, and it's been full-time, nonstop the entire time. I've had no breaks in service. I've done this my entire life. You would think that at this point I'd be ready to lay it down and decide that, hey, maybe I need to chill out and hang out. If y'all ever saw me working my dog, you would understand I don't have that in me. I love working. I still enjoy what I do. It's like an old sheriff that I worked for years ago told me, there's nothing better than being able to say, I got you. Playing that game, I got you. It's all it is. I love instant gratification. That's why I don't like working as an investigator. I like to say I got you right now. If elected constable, I will be out and be present in our community. I will be an example. I want people to be able to look to me and say, this is a guy that we can count on. You can only do that by proving what you say. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Sometimes to my own detriment. My wife will tell you, I'll make a promise to somebody and I'll think, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that, but dadgummit, I told her I'd do it, I'm going to do it. I stick to my word. And when I tell the folks at Infidel that I'm going to be out and be proactive and help protect our community, first of all, by having a marked patrol unit, brand new Tahoe. I promise you that the day that I start, if given an opportunity, there'll be a brand new Tahoe ready to work for your community. I will be out and be proactive. Our community likes to see that officer roll by. Nothing is better for crime prevention than being present. It starts with that. Seeing those red and blue lights flashing every once in a while, making sure that you're out checking cars. Suspicious vehicle comes off a dead-end county road that doesn't belong there. Find out what they're doing. They're probably looking for stuff to take that doesn't belong to them. It's generally what we found. You've got to be willing to put in the effort, regardless of whatever things you think may be going on. You've got to work, and that goes along again with building that trust. Again, don't need pats on the back telling me, hey, you're doing a great job. If you call me and put your trust in me, I know I must be doing something right. Again, I love what I do. I want to help take care of my community. Something Scotty said, you have the passion for it, and your drive is to take care of problems. When I see a problem, I want to fix it. I always want to do what's right. And if given the opportunity, I will do that for you for the Precinct 6, Jasper County. Thank y'all very much.
Just as all of them said, there's no child in this room or anywhere that I would absolutely not give my life for. And the shootings that they were talking about up there in the schools, there was absolutely no reason for those officers to wait as long as they waited. Those officers should have went in whether it was 1 or 50. And I believe, just like Mr. Jack said a while ago, they dropped the ball. They should have went in. I think it's their fault that it didn't happen. And I will protect any child in our community, any child anywhere, and I will assist any citizen in Jasper County, any other county, and Precinct 6 in Jasper County if re-elected constable. Thank you.
Go off what I went off earlier. So, I wasn't born and raised in Jasper County, but I've made Jasper County Precinct 3 my forever home. And I want to be here and continue to be proactive in your community. So when I found out that Constable Hutchison was going to retire, I began thinking about running for the position. I then began praying and seeking God's will in this decision. And I believe that He has confirmed that this is His will. If elected, I will perform each duty according to statute, but I plan to add more duties. I will work alongside Kirbyville CISD, Kirbyville PD, and Jasper County SO to ensure our children's safety. I will be a constant figure in your school zones, as well as extracurricular functions. So a little bit about the constable. A Jasper County constable salary is $33,720 annually, with a vehicle allotment of $16,500. The constables are contracted to serve every civil paper that comes through Jasper County. Jasper County Constable's Office Precinct 3 serves 100+ civil papers a year. To perfect service, it takes up to 3 trips per paper. A constable is responsible for having tax sales on the courthouse square, which can take up to 2 weeks to prepare. Precinct 3 extends from 190 at Holly Springs to Lone Oak Road just north of Una. Unfortunately, this does not leave much of a budget to work narcotics and felony cases, but I, however, will be proactive and respond to all of your calls and concerns. I love this county, I love my job, and with my experience, I feel like I am the best candidate for the position. I ask for your consideration, your prayers, and your vote as your next constable for Precinct 3. May God continue to bless this county, this great nation, and each one of you.